Okay, we're recording. Ed, you want to go ahead and I'll say a few words and then we'll go ahead and get this meeting called to order. Welcome everyone. We're going to have some question and answer periods, but for the time being, Carly is going to be fielding all of the questions that come in, so they will be recorded, and hopefully the ones that she can answer right away, she will answer right away. But for the rest of them, we will handle them. There are several different time periods that we'll be doing questions. But from that, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here, and Ed's going to go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call this meeting to order.
I'll get my screen share, guys.
George, can you do roll call, please?
Absolutely. So George Brazil is present. Hutan Hamadani.
Present.
Patricia Johnson.
Present.
Carol Lampkins.
Present.
Eduardo Melgar.
Present.
Deborah Ogden.
I don't see Deborah. Deborah's in the, nope, I don't see her on here.
So Taylor, I'm so sorry. Is it Stead or Steed?
Stead.
Stead, okay. Taylor Stead.
Present.
Linda Thomas. Okay. And Christian White.
Present.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
You want me to move on to the minutes?
Yeah, can I get a motion to approve the 0609-20 meeting minutes?
I make a motion, Carol Lampkins, to approve the meeting minutes.
Can I get somebody second that?
A second. Trisha.
Thank you, Patricia.
Discussion?
We can discuss the meeting minutes.
Nobody has any questions or concerns or?
No?
Okay.
Okay. We can move on to the treasurer's report.
No,
Wait,
you
we need
no,
to
you
vote
need to
on
vote.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right. So all in favor? Maybe raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Abstentions. All right. Awesome.
That's approved.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to move on to tab 2, which is the treasurer's report.
So since Christiane is in her car driving, I'm going to hopefully go through this with the help of Rose and Christiane. Do you want me to read every single thing? Do you want me to highlight? Do you want me to summarize? What do you want?
Yeah, just summarize. Yeah, normally what I do is just summarize the total, where we're at cash wise on the balance sheet, and then total income versus total expenses for the period, and then the budget versus actuals.
Great. Okay, perfect. So if we look at our profit and loss statement, total income is $162,222.50. If we look at if we go down and look at our total expenses, it's $175,224.49 with a net income of negative $13,001.99. If we look at our balance sheet, our total liabilities and equity is at $64,540.32. And then if we look at our budget versus actual third quarter report, total income is is 162 to 2250, which is 59% of what we had put in our budget of 273,960. So yeah, so there. Oh, hold on a second. I just lost something. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Okay. And then expenses. If we look at our total expenses, we had budgeted 271,500, and to date, our expenses come to 175, 224.49 cents, which we're at 65%. And that is that.
All right.
Any more that you need me to share, Christiane?
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And then just open for questions.
I know Carol had a question that she wanted to ask about it.
I just wanted to get some detail on the office supplies because it was up so much more.
Where's
It's
Yeah,
under.
I saw that too.
Where's
So
office
we had
supplies?
budgeted $50 for office supplies, which seems incredibly low.
Right.
Um,
I think that was a there's an error there between the furniture. I think that got swapped. If you'll see between the furniture and the office supplies, so we don't really buy a lot of furniture and stuff. We usually just allow that in case like something in the office goes bad. So I think that those numbers are actually flipped.
Or reversed.
So they're reversed. So I think that that's where the problem is. And we don't really buy a lot of, other than like paper and stuff, we have a pretty good supply of like pens and stuff. You know what I mean? So we really aren't buying a lot of stuff, and especially right now, like we took that budget down because we're working from home. So we're not buying like things like toilet paper and stuff that we usually buy when we're in the office. So we had reduced that number with the PPP and all that because we're working remotely. So other than paper and that sort of thing, for our copier, that all of those supplies are included in the rental. So we don't have that. We're really low this year. So we had reduced that rate for the year. So I think those numbers are just reversed.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that the negative 13,000, is that for the quarter, or is that where we stand for the year?
It's through August.
It's through August. Okay.
Yeah, it's through August. And the PPP, when we did that, I worked it in to, that's what we had received for the PPP. And that's how we worked that into the budget and showing the numbers there. So at the bottom, you'll see that that 205, that's a running tally for me to know how much we should be taking in for that point in time for that month. And without the PPP, we would be 43,247 and 50 cents short. But with the PPP, we're really like 14,000 short. So that's what those numbers are. That's my running total to keep me on track of like where we are. I mean, with COVID, we really have been hit pretty hard. So
Yeah.
that's what those totals at the bottom there are, to keep me, when I go in and I add bills and do things, just to keep me to know where we are and what we need to cut back on and where we need to be.
Have there been any major cutbacks that you've had to do?
Yeah, we run a pretty tight ship, you know. There's a couple things that did hit us. We had to, for our website, the server was getting hit pretty hard and things were running slow. We had to upgrade our server. That wasn't something we were expecting, but there's some other things that got cut back this year that we didn't have to spend money on. So it kind of was a swap that worked out for us, but we don't really spend a lot. We're down to the bare minimum. We you know, financially for the staff, we know that we're not getting raises. You know, it's gone, well, for the staff, but we talked about that. That's something that we agreed to. We'd rather have a job than worry about raises and things like that. So we really are running a very tight ship. It's just the bare minimum of keeping the office running and going. Calvo isn't happening this year, so the other money from that we won't be spending. Yeah, we're definitely not going to be spending a lot of the money that we had allocated, and we need that to keep the base things running.
Rose, are we still paying the social media marketing people? Do we still have them engaged?
We do, and that's something that we're going to be talking about. That's something we're going to be working with the thing. But I have to say, it does generate a lot of interest. I know when we send things out via them, we do get a lot of, like, when we send stuff out for them, like we did for the board meeting, we did generate a lot of feedback from that. So I don't know if it's something we necessarily want to cancel altogether, but again, we'll talk with the marketing committee and see how that goes. So if we stay with them per se, it doesn't have to be that.
I mean, are we seeing, I guess that's a topic for marketing, but
right.
I was just going to ask about traffic that we're seeing.
Yeah, and it's not just, the fee that we pay, it's also generating the ads and stuff. But that's in the marketing committee time, so we'll talk then.
Okay. I don't think there's anything else on the treasurer's report. I don't think there's anything.
Any other questions from the board?
Question, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have already paid for the IDEX exam, and I'm not sure if this is, I wasn't real sure if this is going to develop the new one, the $14,789.13.
We haven't paid for all of it. No, we haven't. We are paying in increments, so we have not paid for the whole exam. And we have to pay for the current exam. We pay not only for these students to take the exam, but we have to pay for maintenance of the exam as well, like the item banking and the reviews and stuff. So there are still fees that we pay associated with the exam itself. So not just for the students to take it, but for the upkeep and maintenance and for the psychometrician to do the reviews of the exam. So that's what those fees are. So not only for the upgrade, but for the additional costs as well.
On the upgrade, we have that on hold due to the COVID and financial situation? Or are we moving forward?
We're still moving forward. It's not on hold. It was on hold for a brief period of time, but it's back in progress again.
How much more do we owe to finish the new exam? Just roughly.
I don't have the specific numbers, but I think that it's about $30,000 of the 43.
Okay, that's a big hit.
Mm-hmm. But it's going to be spread out. It's not through the rest of the year, partially into next year. So we're going to be good.
We're already in the negative though, right? When I look down here.
We are, but we do have a buffer, so we should be fine.
That's good. That's reassuring.
Yeah, that's what we worked hard to build up, so we should be okay.
Okay.
All right.
I guess we can move on to compliance, which is tab 3. Rose, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that. Just one second here. I'm going to get this is a compliance report. Shows where we are. This is the total current CIDs in September, and the numbers at the top. So the total number of CIDs, is 5,404. Total current and active CIDs are 1,754. No longer active is 3,281, and total delinquent is 369. If you look at that by no longer active, and that we break it down a little bit more, delinquent, we don't really put the delinquent people, for those of you who are out there, we don't put them in a category of either active or non-active, because those kind of float around. Those are people who just have not paid yet. A lot of those people or some of those people will come back and pay later in the year, or they'll, oh, I just forgot, or if we send out a reminder, they'll come back and pay. So we don't really categorize them in technically, you know, not active or whatever. So that's why they kind of have their own category.
Do they get assessed late fees?
Yes. But although with COVID right now, we haven't, people that have gone delinquent during the time of COVID, you can't be like delinquent for a year and a half and then not get a seat. But during the time of COVID, if you've gone delinquent, we're not assessing late fees, and that's because we understand what a hard time this has been. So we have not been assessing. So from March until now, if you've fallen delinquent during, excuse me, that time, then we're not charging late fees for that time period of time because of the situation. But people outside of that, yes, there are late fees, and it's a sliding scale. So we have 3 people that are on a payment plan, and that's another thing that we're doing for the COVID time is typically to be on a payment plan, you have to respond within, when you receive that first invoice, which is the early payment invoice, you contact the office and we can set you up on a payment plan as long as you're paid off by your expiration date. We can break it up into 4 payments. There's no interest or anything like that. So we offer that. But during this COVID time, we're able to just do a payment plan of up to 4 payments and doesn't have to be in that, that same time frame because we do understand the hardship that people are going through. We have 1,327 people that are expired, and so that means that they've gone past that 4-year mark. And then we have 304 people that have resigned. So they've contacted us and said, for either the reason that 41 of those people have said, you know, I'm no longer in the business, I'm not doing interior design anymore. 208 people have contacted us and said, I've moved out of the area, so I won't be renewing. And then there's 55 people that have contacted us and said, I resigned by request, I don't want to be certified anymore. We have 1,581 people that are retired. We have 70 people that are emeritus, and for those that you don't know, we have an emeritus status, and that's for people who are semi-retired, who are starting to close up shop, and there's a set of guidelines that they have to meet, and the board, you know, will grant them emeritus status. There's a payment instead of the $250, it's a lower payment. But that's for the 2 years before they retire, so that's the emeritus status. And unfortunately, we have 69 people that have that are deceased and no longer with us. So again, you can see with those numbers, we have 1,754 people that are current and 3,281 people that are no longer active. Next is the IDEX report. So this just kind of gives you an idea of the applications that we've received so far, who's been approved and certified so far this year. Of the people that have passed the exam, we have 14 people that passed the exam and are like path 2, 3, and 4 that are approved, and we're just waiting for them to pay. We have 50 people that are path 1, so they're waiting to get their rest of their experience and then qualify for the rest of their certification. We have 208 people that are pending the examination, and that the pending people means that they're like waiting for additional documentation, or there's people that have failed and are waiting to reschedule, or no-shows waiting to reschedule. And some people just wait yet to schedule, and then 33 people that are scheduled for the IDEX. And then that you'll see there, the October people were waiting to get that. And then also the numbers for the May exam, we sent those out in the e-news. So we like to keep you guys informed of what's happening and keep, you know, ourselves transparent. So that was the report for you guys. So next.
So we've
any questions?
I got a couple questions. So the number of new applicants for the IDEX has dropped, obviously, from October last year to October this year. Although, has the deadline already reached for the October 20th?
Yeah.
October 20.
Yeah. So the deadline for the October 20th is August 1st, and then for the May exam is March 1st. And I honestly believe that what we're seeing here is directly reflecting the situations with the colleges and schools, and that with the COVID situation, it's a lot harder to get things and get in contact, and with that, it has been difficult. So, and
but it looks like the
it's
numbers.
Actually a relief to see that the numbers haven't dropped a ton,
Right.
in terms of the total number of CIDs, given the situation right now.
right,
I mean, it has dropped, but it's not like half or something.
Exactly.
right.
And the numbers for May 20, prior, all those people registered prior to COVID, so that was promising to see that number go up from last May.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay. Let's move on to marketing. Rose, do you want to update us on that?
I think that maybe George and I can do this. We're putting together a new marketing committee. George, you want to?
Rose and I are putting together a new marketing committee. No, I'm kidding. Really sort of to look at the marketing of the organization holistically. Also making sure that we're offering content or additional content that is really beneficial. So for those that are on this meeting, if marketing is a passion or you happen to be really good at it, and you would like to volunteer on an amazing marketing committee, definitely reach out to Rose.
Actually, right
is
here,
there a QR code going up that's up there now? You can use this QR code and you can answer a survey.
or if you don't use QR codes or you're not into that, and we have the link there as well that you can go to, and you can fill out the little survey and give us some, information, and we will be happy to. George is gonna be the head of the committee.
That's right.
And so yes, please, we would love information from you. We would love to have your insight. It's kind of a rebranding, I think, is what we're looking into here. So
that is what we're hoping to achieve here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and so we would love fresh energy, and we're looking into having some great people join us. So please feel free. So that's, I think we're. This is going to go back up again, so I'll leave it up for just a second, but it's going to, at the end of the meeting, this is going to go back up again. So if you did not get this link down or this information down, didn't get the QR code, it will go back up again. So I think I'll go ahead and move on from it.
So I wanted to go back to the social marketing that we were talking about earlier. So they're still creating content for us. Okay?
They are, and I actually started putting Carly on working with them. Carly, I don't know if you want to jump in here. We are not super excited about the content that's going on with them. It's gotten a little better since Carly's been working with them, because I wanted her youth and vitality to help put some stuff out there. And I think right now we're working with them until we get the marketing committee working back in there, because we do see a response from the marketing that we use with them. We do definitely see a response from that. but until we have something a little better, because they do a lot of work for us, but until we have the marketing committee and we can get this going, Carly, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I feel like their content hasn't been super engaging. So I came up with a couple ideas to kind of interact more with our designers, you know, with their projects and stuff like that, which I gave those ideas to the social media company. And so I just kind of have to work on the logistics of that. That's something that Rose wants me to talk to George about. So I do have some good ideas that hopefully, you know, the CIDs will really like as well. So that's definitely on my list of things to do. And hopefully that will create even more engagement because, you know, it's offering opportunities to the CIDs. So, yep.
How often are they posting for us?
3 times a week.
3 times a week.
Right, Carly?
Yes.
3 times a week, yes. And on top of posting for us, they're also running ads. So it's not just the posts, they're doing ads for us as well. And it's on, we were doing it on Twitter, but we aren't doing it on Twitter right now. We're doing it on Instagram and on Facebook. And then I take that information, and I have been lax lately, but I generally will put it on House and LinkedIn as well. I have been busy and lax on LinkedIn, but I need to get going back on that. Might have Carly help me, but we'll do that more often.
Yes, and we have Dave Wagner said that if George needs help on the marketing committee, especially in the North Bay area, he's here to help. So I have his contact information. We can contact him regarding that.
Great.
Yeah, Carly, if you'll email the link to Dave so he can fill it out, that way that information will go to George. It'll be easier.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. Any more questions for the marketing portion?
I don't think so. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Well, let's go to Q&A because now Q&A time. So I think audience questions would be perfect now.
So we have a question that I've already answered, but it might be valuable to answer for everybody else. Dominique asked, why does the board require 10 CEUs for each member, regardless of activity within the fields of interior design? If that board member has, or if that CID has undergraduate and graduate degree status, it is not always possible to manage time to attend conferences for CEUs. A delinquent status seems unnecessary.
Well, it's something that's written into the law that you have CEUs. That's, you know, doctors are required to have CEUs, and they have a doctorate. Lawyers are required to have CEUs, and they have, you know, postgraduate work as well. But it's not about attending anything other than the classes that are online. They're free. You don't have to go anywhere to attend these courses. It's about keeping yourself up on, what we're looking for is keeping yourself up on the California codes and regulations, keeping yourself up on what's important in the design profession. It's not about going to anywhere. You don't have to leave your home to take these courses. We provide a list of things that are classes that are available for you. We're looking to find more things. The list that we have isn't the end-all be-all list. It's just some of the courses that we know about. So, and most of those are available free and online. So it's something that's written into law, and it's something that we have to report on to the state of California. When we do the sunset review process, they're looking to see that we are monitoring those things. And so the reason that you get a delinquent status when you don't complete them is because we have to show that we're doing our due diligence to the state through the sunset review process. So that's why you get a delinquent status. We contact you and let you know that you haven't done your CEUs for a period of time, and that generally, you know, when you're delinquent the first time, we send you a reminder and say, hey, listen, you haven't done it. Then the second time, the second certification period, it's like, this is your second time. And now if it goes longer than that, we would remind you again, and that's when your status becomes delinquent. It's not that the first time that you're late with them that you get a delinquent status. So it's a long process. but that's our responsibility as a certification board, is to follow what the letter of the law says and report to the state of California.
Dominique had a continuation on that. She said she recently completed, I'm assuming it's a Master's of Historic Preservation degree, and with that, 80 hours of CEU credits were achieved. In addition, I have volunteered at Modernism Week in Palm Springs since 2017. Some of these programs and participation is more than adequate in achieving the certification requirements.
Then all you need to do is report that to your CID account online, and then you get the credit, and then that's all you need to do. Report that to your CID account online, and then you get the credit. That's it. It's not, you don't have to do anything outside of that.
The next question is from Rainey. It says, during these challenging times, what is CCIDC doing about some building departments not recognizing the CCIDC stamp?
We are working with them continuously. We continuously work with CalBO. We continuously go to the ICC chapter meetings. We're working with stakeholders, having stakeholder meetings to try and get our law, the wording or verbiage in our law. I shouldn't say continuously meeting. We're having a meeting next month. We haven't had one for a little while, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But we are working to get things done and get things changed. We can't magically make them do this, but usually when we have a problem, we've had some designers call us, we speak to the building officials, we try and get the problem cleared up, work on this continuously.
I have one comment actually here. For that comments is, I believe it's going to be some percentage on the CID's shoulders as well. As a board, we do our challenge behind the scene, but as far as the CIDs, because I'm in the field for our project in the company, and the challenging time that CIDs have with the agencies and building officials is really helpful, because one thing is recognizing from the board, another thing is recognizing by the building official when you guys start discussing, showing their documents and convincing them that the CID stamp is accurate. And in our part, in our company, I think for last 5 years, 80% we were successful to just not fight them, just convince them that based on the documents that we have and all the articles that is our CID's hands, you can go there and talk to them, and they're gonna accept that.
Yeah. It's really about educating the building officials, because most of them aren't aware of the law, and so, and it's up to their, it's up to their discretion whose drawings they take. But the more we can educate the building officials, the better chances we have of being successful.
Yeah, and we do try our very best to get to everyone that we can. I mean, we work with CalBO, we work with ICC, we work with the building officials, we get to know them. I'm in the San Diego area. I attend the monthly ICC chapter meetings. All the building officials in the county, I wouldn't say all of them, but all of them that attend these meetings, they know me, they know my face, they know what I do. I continuously talk to them, work with them. So when I need something, I know who to call. When I have people in the area that can't get something through, I've had somebody call me continuously that has issues, and so I know the person to call to get those things through. So that's how I help in this area. That's what I can do. I've talked to people in San Francisco. I've talked to different building officials. They know who I am, and 9 times out of 10, I've been able to help educate them and get things through. There are times that I can't. There are times when sometimes a designer's working out of the scope of work that they're supposed to. Sometimes the building official just won't budge. There's different situations. Not all of them work out, but a lot of them do. So it's really about educating building officials. We all have to do our part, and we are working towards it, and we do that every day. It's not about hopefully working together to get the language in our bill changed and updated and clarified will do a lot to help, but we have to all work together to get that done. Any other questions? Did that answer your question? I'm hoping that did.
There's some questions that I can just answer on the side. Let's see. Mary asked, are there any design contests put on by CCIDC, which is something that we will address later on, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. And then Rainey just responded again and said CCIDC has a direct relationship with Calbo. So far, it's not been working. I've been hearing the same words from CCIDC for more than 10 years.
Yes, I beg to differ with you, Rainey. Calbo is supporting a lot of the things that we do, and we've made a lot more inroads that you would realize, but you don't perhaps, I mean, I don't know, have you been to a Calbo meeting? Have you been to any of these things? I know that you hear these things from us, but it's a process. We've gotten a lot farther than we would have before, and it is a process. They're sitting down at the table. They're actually sending the people that are the, instead of sending just representatives, they have the Calbo president coming to our meetings. So I think we've made big inroads. So you may see it differently, but I think we're doing a lot. So
actually, I would like to hear from the people that have a problem with the building officials to write to us and just let us know which city we can do our best. For last 10 years, I believe the amount of acceptance for our stamps, because we are in the field and we are just doing 100, 150 projects in a year, and we saw improvements. If you just write to us which building department or which agencies, we can do our best. We can try from our side, talk to them, communicate with them, and see what's happening.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Rose, what agency or organization would be most beneficial for us to attend meetings in our local area?
Well, the ICC chapter, that's the International Code Council, is like a small chapter of Calbo. So that's, if you have a local chapter in your area, I know San Diego has one, Orange County, Los Angeles has the LA Basin chapter. I know in Sacramento there's a chapter. I know that there's in San Francisco, there's like 3 different chapters. There's the East Bay chapter, there's, my brain's gone blank, but there's several different chapters. I don't know about the other areas specifically. I know Riverside has a chapter. So there are several different chapters. If you're in locations around there, they meet once a month. A lot of building officials and a lot of building official staff attend these meetings. A lot of them are doing them virtually right now. You can look it up and look in the area. They welcome, most of them all welcome outside agencies to attend these meetings. They generally give CEUs during the classes, or they hold them, but you really learn a lot. I've learned a lot about it, a lot of things that I didn't know I needed to know, but that's where you go to network with these building officials. And when they start seeing your face, when they start seeing you on a regular basis, and you start talking with them, and they start knowing who you are, you attend their luncheons, you attend their different functions that they have, and they know about you, and you tell them what you do. Then when you go and you need some help and you have a problem at the office level, and you talk to that person, then they're willing to help because they know your face. And that's how I've really gotten through to a lot of different people. I attended the LA Basin chapter for a long time, until the people that now live up there, LA, attend those meetings now. But I've called them personally, and I've been able to get the help that I've needed. Sometimes when they couldn't help, they at least could explain to me why I wasn't getting the help that I needed, instead of just shutting the door and not helping at all. So
a lot of the times, it's not just the the building officials that are there. It's the head of those departments. That are there,
Exactly.
which is
exactly.
even more important to get in front of those guys, because if you ever have a problem with, you know, a plan checker, you can go to, you know, talk to the head of Pasadena or the head of Long Beach, or whatever jurisdiction that you're in, because those guys are always there.
Those relationships are worth anything that it takes to get them.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's a valuable thing to have a relationship with those people. So we can't stress it enough. You know, we can do a lot, but for you to build that relationship for yourself as a CID, it really is important. You know, we really think it's a good idea. I mean, we're a certification board, and we can do so much, but for yourself, we just recommend. Any other questions?
Okay, I have two messages from, hold on, one of them disappeared. I apologize. Janice said the potential virtual attendance for building official meetings is a big get for us. Can you publish the contact list by area so that some of us could connect into those meetings while they remain virtual?
Are you talking about the ICC meeting, virtual ICC meetings? Is that what you're asking for, Janice?
I just Googled Calvo East Bay, and it connected me with their chapter, because that's where I live.
Yeah.
She said yes, ICC.
Yeah. Google ICC LA Basin chapter, Janice. And that should give, I don't have a list of all of them, but your area is LA, and so ICC LA Basin is the one closest to you.
And then we have a follow-up from Rainey saying he's requested CCIDC set up a committee of CIDs to work on this problem. So far, no response.
Work on the we're sure we can set up a committee. I don't remember a committee, that being your specific question, but I'm happy to set up a committee for working on that.
Everything else on here I can answer privately.
Okay.
Okay.
Ed, should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to.
Just a point of information first, if you don't mind. I just, as I said, I was looking up the East Bay chapter, and their meetings seem to be on hold till the end of the year for COVID.
Oh.
So it doesn't mean we shouldn't plan ahead for being able to use that as one of our tools, but we might not be able to act on it right away.
Yeah, I know LA Basin and San Diego and Orange County are all still meeting, so, and they do it virtually.
I think you're muted, Rose.
No, I heard her.
How did I get muted?
You didn't. I can hear you.
I can hear you too.
Okay.
One more comment. It was a question that the project was approved by the city, and the inspector requested a licensed architect. I just, I don't know who asked this question. I just typed which city, because it doesn't make sense that the building inspector asked for a licensed architect. We want to know which city is that.
I've never heard that. Never happened.
I think that was a question from Mrs. Garcia.
Yeah, Julissa.
Jalissa? She's in San Diego. I know Jalissa's in San Diego.
City of Poway.
City of
Poway?
Yeah.
We had a project in Poway. They are completely fine with CID.
They're not always completely fine with CID. Jalissa, aren't they, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that like Bureau Veritas in Poway?
We had 2 restaurants in Poway. I think I know the building official, but the inspector never asked for licensed architect.
Jalissa, are you still there? Are you? I'll let you talk. Raise your hand.
She's asking if she can unmute.
She raised her hand.
Okay, I'm trying to get to the, hang on. Trying to get to my list. Sorry, guys.
I just unmuted her.
Okay, thank you. Jalissa, isn't that like Bureau Veritas or something that's there in Poway?
Hi, Rose.
Hi.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated. So basically what happened is that this particular project was built and the city caught, you know, the project. So then the client, the owner of the building, called me and said, hey, we need a set of drawings. We need to go to the city. We have this tenant improvement and office space that we built without a permit. Okay, no problem. So I produced a set of drawings, went to the city, got approved, of course, no problem. But then when inspection came along, the inspector, there were 2 options. So if the client or wanted to leave the walls, all the walls as is, not open them for inspection, they required a licensed architect to write a letter that said that that the space was built per plan. And then, or that they would have to open up all the walls. So obviously nobody's gonna want to produce a letter and then having like somebody else's drawings. I know I wouldn't. So then I called when the general contractor told me that. I said, no, maybe they're confused, or they're just like, the wording is not used properly. Let me talk to them. So I spoke with Bill, which is one of the inspectors. And he said, no, we've been doing this for years. Whenever we have an issue like this and there's a project that was built and then we have to come back and, or the client has to submit to the city for plan check and permit, we required a letter from an architect, a licensed architect, that says that the drawing or that the build out was built per plan. And I said, but they're my drawings and I'm CID. I do this all day long. What do you mean? Nobody's gonna wanna just sign off on a letter from somebody else's drawings. I know I wouldn't. And they say, nope, you gotta do that. So what's the other option? Well, the other option is just, to demo portions of the wall so then the inspector can look in there. Meanwhile, there was all these calls back and forth with the owner, with the tenant. Tenant is upset, owner is frustrated, contractor is frustrated, So at the end of the day, we ended up getting approvals. There was no problem, sign-offs, I should say, because the contractor and the owner, of course, they decided, no, we have to demo the walls. So I said, there's no way. And I even spoke with an architect, a colleague of mine, and I said, hey, what would you do? He goes, I would not sign a letter. I said, I didn't think so. He goes, if anything, I would have them remove, some portions of the wall so I could see. I said, I know. So it was just absurd, and so, like I said, at the end of the day, everything worked out. They did have to demo the walls, but they were requesting a letter from an architect, licensed architect. So basically ignoring my drawings, so I'm like, okay, whatever. So
wow.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if it's CIDs or a structural engineer or any unpermitted construction. When it goes to all of these 3 different stamps, when the wall is enclosed, they have to open it up.
Right, yeah. But there was not even, they didn't present it as an option when they were on site. They just said, oh, in order for me to approve this, I have to get a letter from an architect. So everyone, of course, you hear that and they're like, what, So if they were, since the beginning, and I've never been involved in a project that was already built, and then I was called to produce a set of documents, for city approval. This was my first time. So I said, well, I don't know, I've never been involved in this. So I immediately contacted the city. And that's when then later on, after many conversations, they said, oh, well, your other option is to open the walls. But we do this all the time. Like, we don't have to open up the walls. As long as I have the letter, like, yeah, that's not going to happen. you know?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna do that. It's liability. So yeah, so that was an interesting, interesting project, to say the least.
Jalissa, hey, while we have you here on the line, what would because you know, what would you say your experience is with attending ICC? You know, we've been doing it virtual, but with attending ICC, and how do you think that is for other CIDs? What would you recommend it? Would you?
Oh my God, absolutely. I've known a lot of the city officials for a long time. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And when I found out about the San Diego chapter, I immediately became a member. I wasn't always able to make it to the actual meetings. It's a 4-hour meeting, but now that they're virtual, that's just so much easier. And it's extremely important because you develop those relationships with the city officials. And that's super helpful. I mean, it has been for me forever. I know Medi very well.
Yeah.
I've known others that Medi used to be the president of ICC San Diego. Mm-hmm. And then other officials from other different jurisdictions that have already retired, you know, they knew me forever. So yeah, having that relationship with them, it's very important because they're very helpful. There's sometimes things that, you know, we don't encounter, like, for example, this particular project, all you got to do is send them an email and they already know you. So they'll respond. They respond and they help you. They call you back. They guide you to where to go and look for answers. So yes, I would absolutely recommend that. And we do need more designers to represent us, you know, especially CIDs. So they know the difference between us and somebody that it has not, I'm not saying that they don't have the experience. Obviously they do, but it's important to be represented with, you know, the committees like that for ICC. I definitely recommend it.
Right. Thank you, Jalissa.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to correspondence and articles of interest. This is a letter from
so this came from Deanie, one of our CIDs, and she shared it. I wanted to make sure we could share this at the meeting. So LADBS is doing virtual inspections, and this apparently is for residential. It's not for commercial. So she wanted to share this information. And I know that in attending the ICC meetings, this is something that's been going on for a little while in different jurisdictions. I know that they were doing it up in, I think, Riverside first. San Diego is doing it for some of their things, and now I guess they're doing it in LA. So this is just information for CIDs, sharing it with you guys. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
We had a project in Calabasas, which is, falls under the LA County jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. That when the country shut down in March, for like a month, they were doing virtual inspections. Mm-hmm. The building official or the inspectors were all doing just because they wanted a social distance and stay away from projects. But as of lately, they're all back. They're all going back to do in-person inspections. Obviously, they have to mitigate they have to include social distancing, and there's only a limited amount of people that are allowed to be in the building while this inspection happens. It's usually just the contractor, subcontractor, and the inspector for each of the trades.
Yeah, I think that down in San Diego, if I'm not mistaken, it's mostly subs and stuff that do use the virtual, but a little bit at the office. So very interesting.
Lieutenant, have you experienced any of this yet in construction administration?
Actually, no.
Yeah. So
information. The virtual inspection?
Virtual inspection, yeah.
No.
So here's.
Yeah, just.
So I found this information too. So this is an article or a newsletter I get from ICC, and showing that they're So doing virtual inspection. So I just threw that in there as well.
100% I know a fire and health department inspection is just at the site.
Yeah.
All the restaurant project. For Orange County, I haven't heard anything about this.
I can't imagine them doing it virtual. I mean, we have the technology to do it, but it's just, I can't imagine having to do that and be successful. I guess maybe it saves time on traveling to the site.
Well, and if you look at what qualifies for a virtual inspection, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
As far as like complexity, and if this is just residential, you know, it's very simple things.
Yeah.
Well, and this is just one county. It does vary county by county, right? Like,
yes.
I know up here, there's a lot more stricter regulations, especially like the Alameda County and San Joaquin County, where they may have to do virtual.
Yeah, of course. It's not code related.
Right.
Right. Well, and San Diego is a much wider, not that LA isn't, but like, you know, we have like Alpine and some of those really far out places too. So
like on this list, it's calling out patios and decks. So I would imagine there's some level of structure there that they would be inspecting, structural members.
I think the thin line is that's prefabricated. Just was designed and everything by manufacturer, and they just send the manufacturer ICC number or
yeah.
okay. Next we have, oh, is there, you know, oh, I didn't put it in. Next is I didn't get it put in here, but is a Sturdy Act. Another Deanie sent another thing. I'll read what it says on. I have on here. The Sturdy Act, HR 2211 and C1902, stop the tipovers of unstable, risky dressers on Youth Act or the Sturdy Act. The bill would require Consumer Product Safety Commission to establish a mandatory safety standard to improve the stability of dressers and similar clothing storage furniture, and help to prevent deaths and injuries resulting from when they tip over onto children. Long a hazard, the in-home tipovers send thousands of people to emergency room annually. Dressers and other clothing storage units account for at least 206 reported deaths since the year 2000, with most of the victims being children under the age of 6. So this is an act that's going through Congress right now. It just provided some information about it. It was sent to me. So this just shows you some of the things that, this is all the information about the 2 different acts. It's just asking the Consumer Product Safety Commission to make a standard for it. So,
so are they looking to brace to make this brace to a wall or something? No,
they're actually looking to make a standard for how, I guess, these products are made, is what I'm understanding.
So that they're balanced, a little bit more balanced?
Yeah, so they're more balanced. And so what I guess for me, what I don't understand is they could do that for products that are made here in the United States, correct? But how does that work for anything that you buy online, or
well,
how does that work?
I mean, I would imagine it's similar to buying a light fixture, right? And getting it installed. If it doesn't have a UL rating, you can't get it really installed.
By the California Building Code, any structure higher than 5 feet needs to be braced.
Yeah.
All these things is just going to be lower than 5 feet and just have a stability by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you still would brace it, but anyhow, I want to thank Deanie for sending us this information.
It's definitely interesting.
The link that she sent me, but I just wanted to provide this information. And if anybody's interested in having me send this to them, I will be happy to
It's a lot of
email
information.
it is a lot of information, but I wanted to make sure that we had the full information to look over, but I'm happy to just do it. We can do another.
Rose, can I interrupt really quick?
Yes.
My computer froze. Can you re-add me as a co-host so that I can access the poll?
Done.
Thank you.
Done and
Do
done.
we want to skip the Q&A session and move on to the chair's report, and then we'll do the Q&A session after that?
Yes.
I'm gonna release a poll really quick because my computer froze and I couldn't do it. Just a second.
Yeah. Go ahead with the chair's report.
Talk about plans are underway for our 2021. God, can you believe it's 2021 already? Annual board meeting, which is going to happen on June 5th. We're still waiting confirmation from American River College. We were supposed to have it this year, but obviously got pushed back a year because of COVID. We have the Compassion for Design. We're taking applications now, and we're looking for design firms as well to participate in that. Looking for ideas for CEUs. Marketing committee, which is going to be headed by George. We'll focus on ABM and compassion in design. And then there is an open board position, which is going to be the educator seat. Must be employed but as an educator in a design-related position or a design-related position. Must live in California, must be a current CID, and we're accepting resumes.
That first one, Ed, is that you must be currently employed as an educator in the design-related field, like, educating in that design. You can't be an educator in, like, for kindergarten.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was it for the chair's report.
You want to do the?
Yeah, let's do a Q&A now for both for the previous tab and this tab.
Awesome. Carly, are you?
We only have one response from Rainey just regarding the Sturdy Act. He says this appears to be similar to the BIFMA commercial furniture standards, except it's a governmental program. And that's the only question that we have written in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions, comments while we have it open? Sorry, I haven't been keeping this.
Rose, can you activate my video, please?
Pardon?
I was frozen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Done.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So
I have a quick question on your report, Ed. What does ABM stand for? Why am
Annual board meeting.
Thank you. I was just going to say, why am I blanking on this? Thank you.
I didn't want to have to type that all out.
No, that's fine. It's all good.
All right. If we don't have any more questions, we can move it along.
Move on to
No more
business.
questions.
Okay.
Old business. Rose, you want to take that?
Sure. So we got a message from Alyssa Silva from the Senate staff that our sunset review process has been pushed back for a year, which was interesting news because just like a couple weeks before, we were told that it wasn't going to get pushed back. So it will be, the process will start next summer instead of this summer because of the COVID and as much stuff that's going on. So we will be doing it. Our report will be started next, usually we get it in August. So the report will start in August, and then we will have our hearings in March of 2022. So what they did is they put us in Bill SB 1474 to extend our sunset date for a year. So it was approved and passed, and we're extended for a year. I think no. Yeah. That's one bit of news. And then Calvo, the Calvo annual business meeting for this year, they had, when COVID hit, it was scheduled to happen in April in Palm Springs. And when COVID hit, they pushed it out a little bit, and then they pushed it out a little bit more. They did hold a virtual meeting to do kind of the changing of the guard for the president and such and officers. They held that in May. I attended that, but then they pushed it out to and changed the venue to July in Carlsbad at the Aviara Resort. And then it got closer and things weren't changing. So then they moved it again to October, still at the Aviara Resort. And then we just got word that they will be canceling it for this year. So the Calvo ABM is canceled for the year. So that will not be happening. So we got word on that. What else?
Had we given a deposit to attend?
So any deposits and that sort of stuff are refunded back to us. So that all is, but what we did give is we gave money for we sponsored our sponsorship stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That will just be rolled over
Transfer.
into, yeah, transfer. So yeah,
Okay.
we'll work that out.
Are there any other events that we had planned to attend that got canceled?
No, nothing.
Saving any money?
All the events that we planned to go to were like in January. So remember those things, and we all attended those. So nothing else. Calvo was the only one that got messed up.
Got pushed out.
Yeah. So.
Is that it for?
So that's it for old business.
We move on to new business.
Yes. New business. Oh, you want me to do that one too?
Sure.
So
I'm trying to follow along here.
we're still doing our IDEX exam changes. We started the process back up, and we're moving on to the next section of the process. So we need some more IDEX exam task force subject matter experts. That's a mouthful to say.
It's
And
like Bhutan wants to volunteer.
Yeah.
he was on the first. He can't do that. Anyhow, so we need some more subject matter experts, and if that's something that you're feel like you're qualified for or you're interested in doing, it's a several week process, but it's not every single day. I mean, we meet like once a day, and there's more information that will come to you. If you're interested in it, here's another little survey that you can do.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a board member, correct?
No.
Okay.
No. Anyhow, and we're looking for all different sorts of people. We do have building officials and such that participate in it. And this is only for the two parts of the exam that are the California Codes and Regulations is being handled by ICC and other people. So we're not doing that. This is to review the part of the exam that is the design standards and the, why did I blank? And design standards and the, somebody help me here. Carol, I need your help.
Business, the business.
Business practices and ethics. Thank
Yes.
you. I apologize. So anyhow, it's to review that portion in the exam. So we're trying to review all of the questions, go over it. We've had one portion where they look at the questions and to see viability, and now this is a different portion of that where you make sure, review the work that was done. So we need some other people for that. If you're interested, please go to that link. We're looking for people.
And Rose, how many people do you need?
I think right now we need 12 people who would be interested. We would love to have you.
Rose, in a related topic, Linda Panatoni has posted on the Q&A portion that the new CLCID manual with updated codes is now available.
Awesome.
That's very relevant for a lot of topics that we're covering today.
It is relevant, and not only that, but I spoke with Linda a week or so ago, and she was telling me it's all new format, and there's some really interesting things in there. There's going to be some changes, so I think that that's going to be exciting for the new book for everyone. So in case you guys are wondering if you have any IDEX candidates that are on the call, the new CLCID book, a code book for interior designers is available, an updated book. So you can go to the CLCID website and buy your version now. Shameless plug, I guess. Anyhow, so yeah, so this is available. Anybody that's interested, go to the link or use the little QWERTY code there and take the survey. I can leave that up a little longer because I don't think after that there's just more questions. If anybody has any other questions, or just another Q&A session.
Just another Q&A session.
For any of the board members, if you see a question that's unanswered, when my screen froze, it took all my questions away. So I'm only getting I'm not seeing retroactive ones. So feel free to address that.
I'm only seeing 4 open.
I'm only seeing 1. So I see the one from Deanie that says, I was a subject matter expert for the first part of the IDEX exam task force. Is my work now over?
Deanie, no, you'll be coming back again. You'll be coming back, but we just need another group for the middle part, to review the wonderful work that you did on the first part. We have to have a group that reviews that, and then you'll be coming back. Question.
If there's any other questions besides the Deanie ones, I can't see them, so feel free to talk about
Sacramento City is doing a virtual inspection. Residential Sac County is in person. Insurance companies have been doing virtual inspections. Scott Deanie.
Julissa's asking, she's saying that she's interested on SME. Is the link online?
I will email you the link. If it's, are you seeing, Jalissa, can you see my screen? If not, we can
She
send
might
you that.
be on, she might just be calling in.
Oh.
That's why.
I can go ahead and send that link over to her. There's already a couple other people that I need to send it to, so I'll mark her down.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Question Lydia said, are we allowed to stamp the construction set for both residential and commercial addition and remodeling? The answer is yes. For residential, definitely CIDs can stamp, but for commercial, it's going to be a challenge based on the building department's officials. But I think 95% based on our experience, building officials are okay with a stamping commercial project. Yeah. And that 5%, please don't give up. Start communicating with them, go to just their managers, their supervisors, and start just sending them the documents. If you have any questions, ask us. We can communicate with them, and we're gonna just clear our path for the future commercial.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any further questions?
It for the open questions on my end. Rainey said LADBS is the problem. They will not see individual people.
Ed, how are you working with, because I know you go to the meetings and stuff, how have you found it there?
Most of the LA officials, we're still having a tough time getting drawings approved by them. But at the ICC meetings that I've attended, I've built some great relationships with the City of Long Beach, City of Pasadena, Burbank, some of the other jurisdictions that are in the LA area, so the California area. But yeah, LA DPS has always been kind of a problem area for all CIDs.
Right, and that's something that you know, we have been working on that one for years. We've tried different approaches. We still have another approach that we'd like to try with that one, but again, it's a matter of working with.
Yeah. And I asked one of the Long Beach plant checkers in the last ICC meeting that I attended, what his opinion was of CIDs and the quality of work, and he says that for the most part, about 95% of the drawings that he sees from CIDs are really top quality drawings that, you know, parallel or even supersede architect's drawings, which is a really nice thing.
And that's been the information that we've been given. I've gotten the feedback that I've gotten directly from, you know, LA, you know, ARA, and some of the people there. There's really, they have a grudge against a couple particular CIDs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people, they'll tell you by name that they really don't like there, but other than that, they like CIDs. I think it's a policy issue. I think that they've had, it's a personal, it's a policy issue that's been kind of toxic in the past. You know, I think we have you spent much time, Hutan, have you spent much time with ARA? I know that at the one meeting you guys were talking.
Right, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
but the thing is that the issue that they have, because we had many projects in Los Angeles, when it goes to occupancy, jump to assembly occupancy, they're just, all the red flags are up. And we try to just convince them that just the egress and exiting is going to be part of our education too, but they don't accept it. We have difficulties to go through it. But as far as the B occupancy, M occupancy, and others, we didn't have any problem. Ed, did you have any problem with B or M?
No, B occupancy is not generally an issue. It's when you combine occupancies, like you said, Hutan. Yeah. In some cases, some of our projects is predominantly B occupancy, but it has accessory spaces that are A occupancy. And when you combine those two, they get freaked out.
Right. But it just takes a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
Oh, there's more questions here. Well, Rainey, you know what? Yeah, we've got several people on the job, and I think it'd be a great idea, Rainey, if you would join the ICC chapter and learn those guys. We have only so many people that can be there. We go there continuously. We're always there. So if I replace a corridor door, LADBS requires an architect stamp. Do you have anything to say to that, Ed or Hutan?
I mean, they're gonna require a stamp from an architect, whether they like it or
sorry,
not.
what was the question? Sorry.
If I replace a corridor door, LADBS requires an architect stamp.
Is that a question?
But that's
No.
it's a comment.
It's a comment.
It's a part of the egressing for, depends on the building official.
Yeah.
If the door is exterior corridor door, they might ask for it, but I don't think so. We in Hotel Laguna, it's mixture of R occupancy A and B, but building official was completely okay because it's on CDC, all the exiting and corridors, it's on California Building Code. And we are based on that.
But is that Laguna, Hotel Laguna, is that in LA?
No. It's here.
Yeah, that's what he was saying in LA. He was saying that Rainey was saying that's in LA.
We had a project that it has an exiting in downtown Los Angeles. We didn't have a problem, but it still depends on plan checker and building official. But just changing the corridor door, if it's just in kind, and you put the exiting device required by the California Building Code, there is no problem.
There shouldn't be.
Okay. No other jurisdiction requires what LADBS requires. Well, that's for sure.
Yes.
Well, although San Francisco is a close.
San Francisco
is a close second, and it generally is the cities that have their own, building code.
Oh, sure.
And that are the most seismically active. So, are we? We will continue to fight. And I saw somebody was raising their hand, and I don't know where they went.
Was that Helen?
Costa Mesa and Newport Beach required architectural stance for touching a corridor door or a space requiring 2 exits. I agree there should be no problem nevertheless.
In Newport Beach and Costa Mesa, we had tons of project with them. Depends on the plan checker. When we took it to the higher level for the building official, and it was but one of the plan checkers in Newport Beach, he's architect. That's a supervisor. When the drawings goes there, then definitely they start flagging.
Yeah. That it's their policy, but you could get around it by talking to other people, right? Hutan, is that your experience?
Yes, we had a project, A occupancy got approved by my stamp in the city of Costa Mesa. A occupancy was not approved in Newport Beach. We had a challenge, but more back and forth with the building officials in different projects, make them more aware that what we are looking for and what we are challenging for. But it's a 50-50 chance. But as I said, if it goes to A occupancy, everything gonna change.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I think. Oh, this is why we need an active CCIDC committee to work on this. I will be a part of such a committee. Rainey is offering to be on that committee. Yeah. This is something we need to talk about as a board. I mean, having a committee to meet with about LADBS and do such that.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably going to need not just LA building.
Well, not just LA building.
San Francisco's
right.
city. There's probably a few more cities out there that.
I agree, but I think what we need to do first, if we're going to create such a committee, we need to have a scope of. I think Patricia would be amazing to head that committee.
Yeah, she would.
No problem.
Anyhow,
give me a little bit of guidance and tell me,
Well, I think that we need to outline what exactly, what our message is, what it is that we're trying to accomplish. I mean, besides just getting that in, but what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, and what CCIDC's message is, because it's not. We have to have clear within what our scope is, because we can't lobby, we're a 501c3. There's certain guidelines that we can and cannot do under the state law. So we have to be very clear about what we're trying to do here. So it's great to have a committee, but we have to be clear about what guidelines we're working under.
Well, Rose, whenever you want to, you know, like try to set up the bones of what this is looking like, just reach out and we can establish some things, and I can do most of the follow-up. But you know, because
yeah, no, I think that's wonderful, and I think that, you know, we have people like Rainey and stuff, but
we'll reach out to Rainey to help as well, and anyone else who's interested. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great idea. I'm sure we'll have plenty of people interested in being on this committee to do that, and for sure want to get that started and set up. But we have to keep we have to keep the message clear that what this is about and isn't about. We have to keep the message clear that it's a CCIDC thing, you know, how this runs about, and not the message can't get muddied, you know.
Yeah, and Hutan, I would love to have your experiences and information, you know, to.
Sure, of course. Because I think our office had more challenging time with building officials, at least for last 5-6 years. Actually, I was CC Rose on some of those communications. 10 or 15 building officials we had back and forth challenge, and we were successful for 10 of them, but 5 they said no.
Yeah.
They're communicating, especially when they have outside consultants for the plan check.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a big problem for us.
They are all engineers.
Yeah.
Immediately they said, no, nobody can sign unless you're going to be an architect. But I go to them first, and then we go to the building official, and always, not always, most of 85% of the time, the building official override them, send a letter that this company or this person can sign the drawing.
Exactly.
Those guys are generally not versed in what CIDs can do. They're an outside company that all they do is review drawings, and if they don't see an architect stamp or an engineer stamp, structural engineer stamp, then they're just no.
Yeah, but that's why being at Calbo and being at ICC meetings is important, because they attend those, and that's where you have the education.
Exactly.
And so yeah, that's why it's important. And Rainey, to answer your question, you're right. It's not you know, it's not lobbying per se, but we have to be clear on what we're doing so they don't think that it is lobbying. You know what I mean? Like that's why I want to set this up ahead of time, so that we are clear about our message, what we're doing, and yes, we're educating, but for sure, I want it to be clear ahead of time, so we're heading down the right path. All right, I think the questions pop up. I'm just making sure I still have many emails between Doug said and LADB has no need to reinvent the language for the committee. I think I still have them too, but if you want to forward them, Deanie, that'd be great.
Use that as a starting point.
Yeah. From when he met with the gal, was her name Kashepi? I think her name was Kashepi, that we last met with to try and get this project going. All right. 2 more questions, 1 more.
Rainey said there is a list of outside consultants that should be on our list to educate.
And this could definitely be, this could definitely be sort of part of marketing and messaging, and, you know, how are we educating the building officials and you know, all of that. So yeah, I mean, this is all great language, and I think Rainey said that there's that she has saved emails between the building.
Deanie has them.
Oh, Deanie, sorry.
Deanie does, yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so like we can use all of that info in developing the proper messaging, making sure that we're speaking their language. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. All righty.
Doesn't look like we have any additional questions, so I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 11:31.
I second.
George seconds.
Can I get a call to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye.